Housing crisis in North Durham. Courtney McClure for The Standard. North Durham. Bidding wars for some homes along with prices in the market have been skyrocketing in the Greater Toronto Area, GTA. According to Jessica Barbuto, the manager of housing services at North House NH in Uxbridge, the current housing market has created a negative ripple effect for rental tenants. So landlords are jumping on the bandwagon and selling their properties, she explained, which has resulted in many people being evicted, adding, it is not necessarily about the tenants, but rather trying to get the biggest bang for their buck, given what we're working with today in the market. Some families are witnessing this issue firsthand. Lisa and her family, local residents of North Durham, were guaranteed 5 years in their current rental home when they moved in 3 years ago. On May 23rd, Lisa's landlord said they were moving back into the house to start their own family. 4 days later, the landlord said they would be listing the house as an investment home with tenants in the home. And, as of May 2022, the new landlord is allowed to raise the rent or evict Lisa and her family if they choose to. Afterward, the landlord's paralegal sent the family an email. The landlord asked Lisa and her family to go to a hotel at their cost so the real estate agent could do showings of the home. When the landlord listed Lisa's home, they included it came with everything inside the home. Yet, Lisa said they own the appliances inside the home. Their landlord refused to remove this in the listing. My family is a stressed-out mess over this. It's very unfair, said Lisa. According to Lisa, they have unsuccessfully searched as far as Peterborough to find an affordable rental home. According to Ms. Barbuto, the housing market in North Durham is almost at a complete standstill when it comes to an affordable unit. The COVID-19 pandemic has heightened the already low supply of rental housing in our local area, said Tanya Latriel, a broker for Puckrin and Latriel Real Estate. She added, the need for housing has increased in North Durham because more people are working from home. For this same reason, more people have a desire for more space and less congestion. The Rent Control Act set by the Ontario government is no longer in place, and landlords of new tenancies can set tenancy rates at whatever price they choose. For example, what used to be a $500 bedroom rental in a house is currently going for approximately $700 to $900. According to Ms. Barbuto, this example showcases an inflation in cost, which is what the staff at North House are seeing across North Durham. It's making housing inaccessible for low-income individuals, she said. Housing is a right, and it's becoming so people are not able to live on their own. She added, this is especially true for people receiving of Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Support Program, ODSP. We always try to find out-of-the-box solutions, said Ms. Barbuto.
Editor's note. The nature of an editorial opinion piece is that it is a topical piece. Just like column writers who take an idea and offer a perspective on a concern or interest. Last week's editorial, called A Heavy Word from a Heavy Heart, was intended to address the reason various groups within our overall population may have for abstaining from taking the COVID vaccines in their present form. A viable solution that is also very possible was offered to address this concern that both the government and the officials from the medical system were putting forth. Namely, the idea of them removing barriers to people taking one of the various brands of the COVID vaccines. The solution was to develop a new vaccine strain founded upon the use of consenting individuals' DNA used to produce the mRNA that produces the spike protein, which is the specific effective component in all of these vaccines. The hope was to give the government and concerned medical authorities the moral imperative to truly remove this barrier, so as to enable this portion of the population to take a morally clean COVID vaccination from start to finish. If the concern is genuine, and I believe it is, then this is a way through without creating an oppressive conflict with the choice of many in our population. Further, it would go along with the desires of those who believe in, as the term is used in ethical thought, choice. The editorial spoke to the life choice of the consent of conscientious objectors and the protection of the dignity of the life and choice for children who are misused and abused in sex trafficking and drug trafficking. Like so much of our nation's response regarding many recent Indigenous discoveries, we were moved toward needed change. This solution-oriented direction was demonstrated by the British individuals who cared enough to use their own choice and lay down their own DNA so research could be done to develop a vaccine to defeat COVID. All 4 vaccine producers have used fetal cell lines in the research and testing stage of the vaccine creation. 2 of these also use fetal cell lines in the mass production and development stage. However, all 4 strip out all the fetal cell DNA in the final purification process. As the processes and steps have been already mapped out, the cost to develop the new strain of vaccine would not be prohibitive. All that remains is to go through the steps again using DNA from individuals who chose to donate their DNA for that purpose. They would need to be 17 to 60 years old, as per the Canadian Blood Services Registry, which deals with blood plasma and stem cell, organ and tissue donations. The steps are already being repeated to develop more quantities of the same vaccines today anyway, so that part has no new cost. This would be acceptable for all to take, therefore it would not create any moral problem for anyone. And voila, a truly removed barrier. In a world where we claim to be morally inclusive, not ambiguous, this solution fits consistently. However, if an alternative somewhere along this thought line is not implemented, then no government or medical individual may actually make the claim they are doing everything they can to remove barriers to reaching the largest numbers of people with COVID vaccines. This was the idea and central focus of the article in last week's newspaper called A Heavy Word from a Heavy Heart. In addition, the Standard apologizes for any grammar and layout errors which may have caused confusion. I hope this clears up any of the legitimate concerns any persons had regarding the focus of the editorial. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Victoria Karakian, Assistant Curator, Scugog Shores Museum. Scugog. This summer, Theatre on the Ridge brings a unique adaptation of C.S. Lewis's beloved children's classic, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, to life. With only a cast of 2, and minimal set, props, and costumes, the story of this beloved children's classic is told through clever staging and engages the imaginations of audiences of all ages. A heroic tale of love, faith, courage, giving, and triumph of good over evil, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a perfect production to introduce young audiences to the joy of theatre. Directed by Theatre on the Ridge's artistic director, Carrie Nicholson, the cast of Francis Louisel and Michael Williamson are familiar with creating wonder on stage. Audiences will remember them as Tinkerbell and Peter Pan from the Festival 2018 season. This production has been sponsored by Voss's Independent Grocer in Port Perry. Performances of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by Theatre on the Ridge will be outdoors at Scugog Shores Museum and include a self-guided tour. There will be 2 showings per day over the July 31st, August 1st long weekend at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. The location of the show is Scugog Shores Museum Village at 16210 Island Road, Port Perry. Tickets cost $15 for adults, $10 for children, and $35 for a family, 2 adults and 2 children. HST is on top of the ticket price. Tickets must be purchased in advance from scugog.ca/museum or by emailing museum@scugog.ca. To find out more about Theatre on the Ridge, go to their website at www.theatreontheridge.ca.
Recent crime in Beaverton concerns council. Dan Kearns, local journalism initiative reporter for The Standard. Brock. Township of Brock Council is concerned about recent criminal activity happening in Beaverton. In a press release sent out on Friday, July 16th, the township stated they had heard concerns regarding potentially illegal activities, property trespass issues, and disorder in public spaces. Council has a couple of plans to help address this issue. Beaverton Area Council members will be meeting with Durham Regional Police Services, DRPS, representatives to discuss council and resident concerns, the press release read. In addition, Mayor John Grant, Regional Councillor Ted Smith, and Brock CAO Ingrid Svelness will be meeting with Durham Regional Chair John Henry, Durham Regional CAO Elaine Baxter-Trahair, the Regional Commissioner of Social Services, and DRPS Senior Inspector of North Division on the same matter. However, the township noted this is a complex issue to deal with. The township recognizes the concerns residents have and acknowledges the complexities at hand with the understanding that enforcement is just a part of the discussion solution, the press release concluded.
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.